All right, welcome everybody to episode number 39. Can you believe it? Of the Vinyl Community Guncles. We do this every week, and this week we're not counting down, we're showing our tops and our bottoms from the year 1985 this time around, and we're also going to review the album Replicas from Gary Numan and Tubeway Army. That is all coming up. I'm Robert Fithen, along with Richard from Calvin Wazoo, Mike from Hubtunes, and Craig from Craig's Vinyl Plethora. Mike is up first.
Do it.
Okay, well, I always try and pick stuff I know you guys aren't going to show, so I don't know. Anyway, I picked, this is an album, actually I just picked this up. This is John Fahey. This is Rainforest, Oceans, and Other Themes, his album from 1985. It's a pretty cool acoustic. He's a terrific guitarist. It's not one of his best records. He does a really cool acoustic version of Layla. It's interesting. It's got some good stuff on it. I found it for like $4.99.
Is he related to Jeff Fahey?
No, I don't believe so. No.
From Psycho 3?
No, I don't believe so. Next up, I love this record. This is the Chesterfield Kings. They're kind of a throwback power pop punk band. 1985. This is their album Stop. I don't know how many other albums they had. I think they might have only had one. Really cool, fun power pop record.
They kind of went up in smoke.
Yeah, they went real fast. But that's a terrific record. If you guys ever see it, grab it. It's not expensive.
People aren't old enough to remember No, never mind.
Up in Smoke?
No, that was a brand of cigarette.
Oh, Chesterfield Kings. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. In Excess, great record. I love every In Excess record. I think they're all fantastic. This one is especially good. This is the one with all huge hits. Next,
like What You Need, Falling Down a Mountain, Kiss the Dirt, and This Time.
Thank you. I was going to try and read the font, and not a chance in hell I could read the font.
And the title track.
Yep. Great record. This is Shriekback, Oil and Gold. They are a post-punkish band. Really cool. They're still together. They still make music. They still tour. Their first 4 or 5 records are probably their best. But this is probably my favorite of theirs. Great record from 1985. I'm sure this is not the record you guys are talking about. Songs from the Big Chair. This is not my favorite. I like the previous one. I like the debut. The
Hurting is way better.
Yeah, I like that better. But this is just classic. There's some really good stuff, and this stuff holds up today. It really, really does.
That's always on my need to listen to at one point list, and I still have never heard The Hurting.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Really?
It's
really?
wonderful.
No.
Really,
I should actually literally make a list and then one day just listen to all those albums.
It's got some terrific stuff. It's a little raw too. It's not as polished as Songs from the Big Chair. It's really good. Of course, I got to show a Gary Numan. This is The Fury. This is not very. Look at that suit. Look at that cover. Fancy. And he wonders why his career went downhill. This actually has a couple of decent songs on it, but overall, not very good. It could have been in my bottom. Should have been in my bottoms.
Eat a ketchup popsicle.
Yum.
And these are probably the next ones are all my favorite records of the year. This is Tom Petty. This is probably my favorite Tom Petty record.
Really?
Maybe number 2. I love this record. I just absolutely adore this record. I think it's great. Next, Smiths. Wonderful. God, what a great band they were. They were so fresh and exciting at the time. Just a great record. The Queen is Dead. Another post-punk. These are all kind of post-punkish. This was a good year for post-punk. This is the Chameleons, Script of the Bridge. Really, really cool band. Highly recommend it. If you see their records, just grab them. They only have a couple. They tend to be kind of expensive, especially the originals. I don't think much has been reissued.
That one's been reissued, but it's still it's still hard to find it, and it's really expensive because I've been looking for that for a really long time. But
it's a terrific record.
I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer.
I know what he's going to say.
The Queen is Dead came out in 86.
Came out in 86. So, as I was pulling it, I was like, is this 85 or 86? And then I looked on the I looked on the label, and I'm looking at it. I couldn't tell if it was a 5 or a 6.
5 or 6. So Meat is Murder.
I was going to say they have a different album for 85.
Meat is Murder came out in 85. It's still great to mention Queen is Dead. And I was wondering, trying to decide whether I was going to say anything, but I gotta. And it's okay because it's a great record. So.
Oh yeah, and it, like I said, it's better than Meat is Murder. This is Tones on Tail. This is the offshoot, Daniel Ash, the offshoot from Bauhaus. This is a comp. They had pretty much broken up by 85. I think 84 they kind of called it quits, and of course they went on to form Love and Rockets. This is, I think we all, Depeche Mode, Black Celebration. Freaking genius record. Absolutely beautiful. Is it? Oh, dear God, I'm going home.
You're home already. That is 85.
Yes.
Prefab.
Another one I've been looking for.
Steve McQueen, absolute masterpiece. Brit pop, great record.
Is that Steve McQueen or is that the U.S.? Because the U.S. one is just called something else, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Two Wheels Good.
The U.S. one is. You're right. Let me look it up.
Is it called something different? I don't know.
Yeah,
mine's the UK.
So. Steve McQueen was not happy about it.
Great record.
Nice motorcycle.
In the States, it was called Two Wheels Good.
I'd rather call it Steve McQueen.
Dumb. Yeah, no, but yeah, Steve McQueen was not happy that they named an album about him, and I'm like, they probably didn't know who you were.
Yeah, and he probably didn't know considering he was dead, but
I was about to say, I didn't think he was alive in 80.
Maybe it was the family. Maybe it was the family that was having a fit. The estate. I don't know. It was something to do with that from what I remember, but.
And the songs are different too.
They couldn't get any money off his name. That's why they were upset.
Probably, yeah.
And probably my favorite record from 85 is Big Audio Dynamite. Great record. Offshoot of The Clash. Mick Jones and no, it's not. I don't think it's the debut. I think the other one. Maybe it is the debut. Maybe it is.
I can't. You know what? I can't remember now if that is the debut because I'm gonna.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Well, the second one is called the other one. 2. So I mean, if that's not 2, then it's probably the first one.
Okay. Because the Globe was
that was in the 90s, wasn't it?
Okay.
Or late 80s.
Yeah. But great record, fantastic. I love this record. I was playing it today.
One, but
What? You know what? I'm done.
Great albums from the mid 80s.
I'm out of here.
Or Mike.
Bye.
Oh no, you get right back here.
No, I'm letting the cat out of the room.
Oh, let the cat out, and then you get right back here.
Out?
Who let the cat out?
Hiss.
Oh. So I wanted to show you really quickly. So I have an honorable mention, but I have albums actually in that honorable mention as well as singles. But my top 12, because I had to go 12, is singles. Okay, so I just wanted to mention the Stranglers with Auroral Sculptures. And I just recently got this, and I love it, and it's so great. And Killing Joke. The song 80s would have been in my list, but it was actually a single in 85 or 84.
I just heard about Killing Joke recently for the first time.
Such a cool record.
And there's a single that I have on order of theirs.
I have a sealed Killing Joke album. I think I'll auction that off at one point.
You'll probably
worth it
for it.
It's from like
I bet you will.
Pandemonium.
Yeah, you'll and it's sealed. Yeah, you'll get. And especially with the one that's not in print or hasn't been reissued. Yeah. OMD released Crush that year. So in Love was one of the singles. My favorite song off of this record is actually Crush. I have to mention My Dead or Alive with Youthquake. The legendary Wolfgang Press. This amazing,
Legendary.
yep. This is such a good record. They actually do a cover of Respect, which is really strange. And then, of course, The Head on the Door came out that year. One of the Cure's finest. And then their album Arrive Without Traveling. I do need to mention the 3 O'Clock because nobody ever mentions the 3 O'Clock. Nobody knows who they are. They were originally called the Salvation Army, and they were told, no, you can't call yourself the Salvation Army. And they had band practice every day at 3 o'clock. So they decided to call themselves the 3 O'Clock. They had a big hit on the previous album called Jet Fighter. Amazing track, but nobody ever talks about the 3 O'Clock, and I feel like people should. So
I usually take a nap around 3 o'clock.
Yeah, apparently they had a big hit, though.
I do too.
Who knew?
Jet Fighter, having a good time. You guys don't know Jet Fighter? You got some serious issues. Y'all are supposed to be smarter than me.
Well,
Okay?
maybe serious gaps, but I think we all have serious issues.
Well, yes, everything. Yeah, probably have the most. But so singles, I'm gonna go very quickly. Okay, Arcadia with Election Day. Of course, it's pretty much Duran Duran, but
Yeah.
there's like one person missing or two. I don't know. Sly
Yeah, because
Fox,
they were making Power Station, weren't they?
Right, yeah.
yeah.
Because that came out this year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it did. Sly Fox with Let's Go All the Way. Moroccan Sydney with Don't Mess with My Toot Toot. Whenever I can mention Don't Mess with My Toot Toot, you know I'm
Toot
gonna
Toot.
mention it. Book of Love with Boy, Dream Academy, Life in a Northern Town, The Smiths, The Boy with Thorn in His Side, Diana Ross
For
with
me to
Chain
sing.
Reaction, Alison Moyet, For You Only, Cool in the Gang, She's Fresh, She's So Fresh. I just love that song. I know it's terrible,
So
but
fresh, and I love that lady.
it's
Oh, how I love her so.
These are your bottoms?
No, you shut your face. You shut it. You shut
Did somebody's
These are-
cat literally just do that?
No,
What,
that was
bottom?
me.
Oh.
These are my honorable mentions, Mike.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I haven't gotten to my list yet. Just do wait, Henry Higgins. All right, The Judds with Have Mercy, Mary Jane Girls in My House, Tom
Yes.
Looking for a Day, Lionel Richie, my Lionel with Say You Say Me, Kenny and Dolly, Real Love, Sheena Easton, Sugar Walls, Ah, The Sun Always Shines on TV, Eurythmics, There Must Be an Angel Playing with My Heart, Billy Ocean, Wanna Be Your Lover, Lover Boy, Yes Ma'am Please, Sheila E, I Love Bizarre, and Cyndi Lauper with The Goonies Are Good Enough.
I like all of those songs for like the first time.
Wow! Let's see if you like my top 12. All right.
Oh, I thought those were okay.
No, those are my honorable mentions, dude. Yeah, so let's see. All right. I think some of you might not know. All right, number 12. ABC, Vanity Kills, It Don't Pay Bills, Vanity Kills.
I don't know that. But here is the rare Billy Ocean Suddenly album cover.
I've never seen that cover. That's really, that's way better than the one I have.
Usually it's the white drawing one.
Yeah, that's the more common. I don't really like it, but number 11, I'm Just Burning, doing the Neutron Dance. Yes.
Oh, yes.
With Neutron Dance.
There are 3 different versions of that album.
There are. And I don't know which one I have. I know it has, I'm So Excited was not on the original.
Right. And then once it was, there's 2 different versions of that
versions
with
of that, yeah.
remixes.
Yeah. So I don't know how you tell, but this album came out in 83, though. It's weird that was a single, but it was. I double checked.
Yeah, they used it in Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Oh, yeah. Number 10, The Cult with She Sells Sanctuary. On the Seashore by the Seashore, She Shall Sanctuary.
That song is in my running playlist.
It's a great song.
So good. I love it.
Great to run to.
Red, Money Too Tight to Mention.
Oh, see, we were going so
Okay,
well.
so we went down, but that's okay. I freaking love Simply Red. I'm not gonna lie about it. And Money Too Tight to Mention. Oh, my father. Oh, so
If you
good.
were going to lie, that would be a good reason.
Well, I'm not gonna lie because I love me some Money Too Tight to Mention. All right, number 8, Alive and Kicking, Simple Minds. I love that woman that is.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't do it, but she's just screaming there up on the mountain in the video. It is
He's
brilliant.
got like an owl on his arm or something, or
Yeah.
like a bird or
I
something.
don't know. It's brilliant. That song is brilliant. I just love it. Number 7, my favorite song of hers, Laura Branigan with Maybe Tonight, Maybe Tomorrow. That song and her. This one was in a episode of Automan. Do you remember the 80s show Automan that had Desi Arnaz Jr. and he was like a nerd, and then there was like this computer guy.
I don't know that
and
one
he
or
had
that
cursor.
song.
Y'all never saw Automan?
Oh,
Oh, my,
Neither episode.
look it
there's
up.
1985. I was living in the
was just-
mountains.
It was.
so I
It
didn't have
had
TV.
it had 13 episodes, and then it was canceled. So it did have It had a
That's like a half of a season.
Yeah, half a season.
I don't know that song either. I don't remember that song.
So good. It's my favorite. All right. Erasure. Who Needs Love Like That? Their first single. Their debut did not come out for the following year, but this was their first single released that year. I can't. Oh, wait. I do have. I don't. It was on a compilation. There were 2 new singles on this compilation. I don't have that on vinyl, but it is on this live album. So Depeche Mode with Shake the Disease. Number 4, Sade with The Sweetest Taboo You Give Me. So good, so good, so good. We're almost done.
And a string of really great albums.
I like that one.
Oh, so
And the
good.
runners up.
And I have my hype on that. Okay, number 2, Susie and the Banshees with City, or this is number 3, sorry, Cities in Dust. And whoever I got this from, I have their concert stub. It's on the back there.
Released
I
after Cities in Flame.
Wow.
Number 2, their album did not come out till the following year, but this was their debut single, Book of Love with I Touch Roses. If you think I'm magical, because roses bloom with my touch. There's the band back there. Also, I have to mention it every time I mention Book of Love, my very first concert. And at number 1 for 1985. If you don't like it, you can all go to hell. If you even know it. But
I think we're all going to hell anyway.
My
Yeah,
favorite song of 1985 is Gene Loves Jezebel with The Cow. Weep for Her. Have you seen
I
that?
don't remember that song.
Those are
I
some
remember
great
that.
runners up.
No.
And then the Sade.
You go to hell.
I don't know the cow from I know Jealous.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I don't remember that song. I remember them, but yeah, I don't
It's
remember
bad
that
enough,
song.
but
no.
yeah, I don't know the cow.
Oh, really?
I have no recollection.
Weep for her.
Are you serious? That thing says moo 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 moo.
No, they say there's actually words in it in that noise that they make, but I could never figure out what the fuck they were saying. But he's like, I hope I don't do something, or maybe I don't milk the cow. They don't really talk about milking a cow, but I've made
Sounds
that part
terrific.
up.
Sounds like that would be a great list topper for an entire year. Music.
It is, and if you listen to it, you'll probably hate it, but it's still wonderful.
Oh my!
And I love me.
I like
some
Alive
cow.
and Kicking from Simple Minds.
Well, there were a couple you liked in there. The Colt.
Well, does that
Get
mean
it.
I'm up next now?
Yes.
All right. Well, as usual, I've got singles and I have albums. And I also mentioned the top hit, number 1 single the week of my birthday was Duran Duran's View to a Kill, which I really didn't like that. The movie was always kind of,
Yeah, it's
the
not a good
movie was okay, but
Been kind of forgotten as in the
yeah.
James Bond canon.
yeah.
Yeah.
The honorable mentions for singles, going to start off at 2 from Madonna, and that's now again. I'm using a chart in which I'm picking songs that had to hit top 10. They had to be in the top 10 for a week. I have one exception though because I had to include it. I just had to include it. So anyway, the first 2 honorable mentions by Madonna, "Like a Virgin" and "Material Girl." Love those songs. Pointer Sisters, "Neutron Dance." That was such a great song. That was a fun one. Bruce Springsteen, "I'm on Fire." Loved that song. Simple Minds, "Don't You Forget About Me." And then Prince, "Raspberry Beret." It was catchy. It was nice. It was an all right song. Wham, "Everything She Wants" was a good song. All right. John Cougar Mellencamp, "Lonely All Night." He had a couple good hits that year. Then another honorable mention by Aha, "Take Me On." And then Stevie Wonder's "Part-Time Lover." That was a good one. And then the one that didn't chart, but I have to include it, is "You Spin Me Round" by Dead or Alive. My top 10 singles.
That wasn't
Number
a top
one.
10 single?
Those were my honorable mentions.
Right, but you said that "You Spin Me Around" didn't make the top 10?
No, it did not.
Wow.
I was surprised
It
too.
did later,
At least
though, didn't it?
in the chart that
Oh,
I was
okay.
looking at. In the charts that I was looking at, which was not Billboard, but I can't remember the name of the website that picks them. But anyway, starting off at number 10 is "Frankie Goes to Hollywood," "Relax." Probably the only good song they had their entire career. And I picked up the 12-inch single today. Eurythmics, "Would I Lie to You?" Love that song. That was a good one. "Till Tuesday," Voices, "Carry." That was a really nice song. And then "Glory Days," Bruce Springsteen. You may hate me for this one, but I loved Don Henley's "Boys of Summer." Loved that song. "Small Town" at number 5, John Cougar again. I think those were all on Scarecrow, and that is
Yes.
a really, really good album. John Fogerty at number 4 with "Old Man Down the Road."
A song he was sued for because it sounded too much like a Creedence Clearwater Revival song called "Run Through the Jungle."
Yeah.
So John Fogerty sued for sounding too much like John Fogerty.
Yeah, right. I never did understand that whole thing, but whatever. Bruce Springsteen again for "Born in the USA," which also wins the award for irony. How so many people just really misunderstood what was going on with that song.
Oh, yeah.
Sade, "Smooth Operator," is at number 2 for me, and then at number 1, it's a 3-way tie.
Oh.
And they're all the Tears for Fears songs. "Everybody Wants to Rule the World," "Shout," and "Head Over Heels." I mean, all 3 of those songs, love those songs.
Yeah, if
So
you're going to
those
listen
are
to
my-
"Head Over Heels," you have to have the broken part after it. I don't like it when it just ends. It has to have that extra music at the end. Anyway.
I'll have to re-listen to the album to see what that is. Now, when it comes to albums, I again got my list here with starting off with George Thorogood for the album "Maverick." It's a pretty decent album that he came out with at that time. Band that people don't talk about much, the Meat Puppets. "On the Sun" was the release in 1985. Fun band, really fun band. This one, "Misplaced Childhood" by Marillion. I remember the first time I heard it, and I thought I was listening to Genesis.
Yeah.
I mean, Fish's voice is just so much like Peter Gabriel. Really good album.
That was one of those ones like the Tears for Fears.
Oh, by the way, I do have albums. I forgot. I have.
I always meant to, because I always heard about it, and I always meant to listen to it, and that's one of the ones I actually did listen to. It's terrible, by the way. If nobody, that right there is horrible.
That's horrible.
Very proggy.
Yeah, I don't like that.
But
But I did wait like 30 years to hear it.
Well, I've never heard it, so.
Another, let's see. I had this one pulled, and then I realized I don't have it on album, but I do have it on the CD, and that's Stevie Ray Vaughan's "Soul to Soul." Probably his weakest album
Definitely.
for sure. But it's a decent album.
I mean, compared to the first two records.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
it
it's hard to keep up.
he hadn't quite
after those first two.
he hadn't quite kicked the bottle at that time, so
No.
he was rapidly spinning out of control. Frankenchrist, the Dead Kennedys.
Yes, Kennedys.
Yes.
We'll be hearing about both of those albums a little bit later on.
Uh-oh.
I do not have the poster that caused the tremendous controversy from the PMRC, but
Is that an original? Is that an original?
No, it's a later pressing, and it's a remastered one too from the remastered tapes. But yeah, I don't have the one with the poster.
This is an original, but I don't have the poster either.
Yeah,
I got it used in the
they go
90s,
for
and the poster
some-
was gone.
yeah,
Yeah, they go for some serious money if you got the poster.
yeah. No shit. Black Flag, In My Head.
I don't remember
Not
that
the
one.
best one, but it's a good one for the year 1985. And then for the jazz people, the Japanese saxophonist Parker's Mood by Sadao Watanabe. Really nice live performance, and pretty cheap record, when you find it. So, all right, top 10 albums.
Those are honorable mentions. Okay.
I
Those are his top
would
10.
have this as like a number within the top 5, but I'm placing this one at number 10 because I don't have a copy of it yet. I just recently put it on order, and that's the Talking Heads' Little Creatures. It's a good album. I liked it right from the start. I really do like it.
Mike does not. I still remember that.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's just a
I do
Piece
like it.
Not.
piece
But
of garbage.
yeah.
From one of the
I like
greatest, from one of the
garbage.
greatest bands of all time.
I like. Well, I think, what is it? It's almost their last album. What was the one after that was really
True Stories.
True
True
Stories,
Stories,
which is
yeah.
almost
I
as
thought
bad.
Naked was the last one.
No,
Naked,
that's
yeah.
worse.
Naked's the
Yeah,
one
Naked's
that's
the-
just
with
not,
the-
that doesn't have anything
yeah,
going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
They were underway on.
Or does it have Nothing But Flowers? That one was kind of clever.
It does have nothing but flowers. I think.
No.
On Little Creatures.
No,
yeah,
Naked.
Naked.
Naked. That's not Naked.
All right.
Yeah.
Number 9. Can your pussy do the dog? The Cramps.
How crass.
Oh my! Can my pussy? I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, great EP.
Yeah.
Number 8, The Scarecrow. Wonderful album. For the jazz aficionados again out there, and I really dismissed Wynton Marsalis for a long time. I was more interested in, Branford Marsalis and but this one by Wynton Marsalis, Black Codes, is a really good album, and it's also really well recorded. So
They get dismissed by jazz people all the time. Both of them.
Yeah.
They're not respected at all. And they've both made some pretty decent records.
Yes.
Yeah.
Them and Les Elgart.
Yeah, Les. I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is.
Jazz people.
I've heard the
Probably
name, but
do.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Number 6. This is a fun record. It's got some interesting songs on it, and that is Frank Zappa meets the Mothers of Prevention. Love the way he completely
Prevention.
distorted the dialogue from the PMRC hearings. They recorded it, and then he just really distorted and sped up the tapes. And who was that?
Were those hearings in 1985? Or were
They were either
earlier?
84 or 85. I mean,
Yeah, it was around then. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think they were right around then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was Darling Nikki that really
That's
was the
what set
last
them
straw,
off.
and then
Yeah.
And
that's
who
what
was the
started it.
Southern senator that was such a doofus? Gosh, but he really plays around with his voice and speeds it up. And then there's some other really interesting pieces on there that he does with the synclavier. I also have Big Audio Dynamite at number 5. Love this
Such a
album.
fun record.
Yeah. And Coco Taylor at number 4,
I
Queen
love
of the
her.
Blues.
I have heard
my
that.
This
God,
woman
I
can
have
sing.
got to get some Coco Taylor. I heard that
That's a
one
great
that's coming out
record.
on Record Store Day,
Yes, it's
and I'm definitely getting that. But I
got
got to
the
get some more.
Alligator label.
Yeah.
And she recently played in Chicago, and I didn't jump on tickets soon enough, and it sold out.
Yeah, I saw her live years and years ago.
I wonder
She's
how she would
absolutely
do
spectacular.
nowadays, though. She's got to be really old.
Yeah,
Honestly, I didn't know she was still alive.
I didn't either.
Yeah, and
I saw her
so
back
she
in-
must need money, so she's touring.
I
again.
feel like I'm incomplete without some Coco Taylor. I got to get that remedied right away.
Then, of
She's
course,
great. Yay!
Jesus and Mary Chain, Psycho Candy. Classic album. at
Are these in
number
order?
3. That's number 3.
Oh,
This is
we-
number 2.
Okay.
Songs from the Big Chair. There's like one song on here to me that's kind of a dud, and otherwise I would have like. put it
Yeah,
at, like,
it's almost a
number 1.
perfect album.
Yeah, but the perfect album from start to finish. I loved this album when it came out. I still love it now, and there's not a dud song on it, and that is "Listen Like Thieves." Such a solid album, just absolutely incredible. I'm surprised. I mean, I know there were songs that were hits, but I'm surprised none of them hit the top 10. At least
From
the list that I
an
was looking at.
absolutely spectacular band. They were
Yeah.
just so damn good. Every album was just solid all the way through.
And that's
Even
really the only
a couple of the later ones. What was it? Elegantly Wasted.
It's all right.
Yeah,
It's
that-
all right,
That's
but
their
there's some
final.
good
Yeah,
stuff on
Elegantly
there.
Wasted is their final.
I
Yeah.
love that
There's
beautiful
some good
girl
stuff.
from Wherever You Are.
Wherever,
That didn't
welcome
really get
to
enough
wherever you're.
attention.
That's one of my
His
favorite.
his voice was absolutely gorgeous. I love them.
solid performances by the musicians. I mean, it's just so tight. The way they're
Yeah.
playing, and it's just, and the recording was really good. It didn't have all that. That polish that was going with a lot of '80s production, and I'm not one to get overly reactive to the production of an album, but a lot of
Yeah.
'80s albums there's that style of production you can tell right away.
I actually wanted to go back to last week when I showed that Carlos Santana Blues for Salvador.
Yeah.
Man, that's some really bad '80s production. I played it after we recorded last week. I put it on. I was like, "What the hell?" It's got great songs. The arrangements are great. The guitar work is splashy. It's spectacular. And then there's just like this, just bad '80s, just like stuff added in that didn't need to be there. And it's really not a good record. I should have put that in my bottoms.
Well, there you go. Those are my top 10 albums and singles from the year 1985.
But yeah, I did albums from 1985 as well. They're not in any particular order, but I do have 10. Of course, we've already talked about Tears for Fears songs from the Big Chair. And what was the other one that's already been mentioned? The Smiths Meet His Murder. This one has already been mentioned as well. The Cult with Love. I would probably put this more around the 10 or 9, but area 8 or whatever. But it does have, of course, She Sells Sanctuary and Sister Moon and all of that. Let's see here. Eurythmics, Be Yourself Tonight. That was talked about with Would I Lie to You and all that. They really were kind of on a roll after their second album, and I think they had a really good three in a row there. They kind of took a dip a little bit after that. Talked about, of course, In Excess, Listen Like Thieves. Everybody's is Bigger Than Mine. Again, I have the little one. But yeah, great album all the way through. Like beyond the singles too. I mean,
Size
the
doesn't
whole
matter.
first side really has a lot of singles, and then we've also talked about Little Creatures from the Talking Heads, which I think is a great album with As She Was and Stay Up Late and
I love that
Road
song,
to
Stay Up
Nowhere.
Late.
I mean, wow, it's
I love
all.
that song.
I know. I don't know why Mike does
it's
not
Road
like
to
that.
Nowhere. It's
I
Road to
think
Nowhere
that's
that
such a
gets
fun
me.
song.
I get why Mike
can't
doesn't
stand
like this one because it's John Cougar Mellencamp, but
He
yeah,
loves
I get that,
John.
but I don't get
John Cougar. I hate
not
him.
liking the Talking Heads Little Creatures.
You know what
but
I'm
yeah.
going to do this week? I'm going to revisit. I will make a point of putting it on the turntable. I'm not putting
Yeah.
that crap on.
I really like this John Cougar Mellencamp album. He's another one that had 3 solid ones in a row. This one not only has Rain on the Scarecrow, which is a great song, especially for the time. This was right around the time that Farm Aid started, so it's perfect for that.
Yeah.
Small Town is way overplayed. Lonely Old Night has a lot of references from the movie HUD. That's where a lot of the lines come from things that were said in the movie HUD with Paul Newman. Rumble Seat is a great song, too. ROCK in the USA, way overplayed. But interesting thing about this album is this dude decided to come along and make an album called Scarecrow as well, Garth Brooks, and pretty much, is that the same cover or not? I mean,
it's pretty damn close.
That's ridiculous. And it's called Scarecrow. Chris Isaak, I showed him on the 1987 one with his second album, which is just self-titled. People think maybe that's his first album because it's just self-titled, but actually his first album is called Silvertone. And the first two albums especially, I mean, the Heart-Shaped World is pretty cool too, but I love the first two. It just has that real midnight kind of moody, dreamy kind of quality, and this is
he's kind of dreamy in himself too,
and well endowed from what I hear as well. And the rumor is he would self-fellate at parties, but he has denied that. So who knows whether that is true or not?
It had to be a certain type of party.
Could not fit all the way into Margaret Cho, who he was dating at one point. That is another rumor.
No, we don't know why.
Wow.
Chris Isaak, large and in charge. The Cure, The Head on the Door. This is probably, I don't know if this might be my favorite Cure album. It would be a perfect album if the single version of Close to Me was on here instead of the album version. But great all the way through. I mean, songs on here like
Perfect.
Screw. It's a great one.
You screw up your eyes.
Yeah, the Blood Kyoto song. But my favorite is In Between Days. What a great way to kick off a Cure album. And again, just like the Kiss Me one we talked about last time with 87, a lot of variety on that. It doesn't sound like, it doesn't put you in this kind of down mood all the way through like some other stuff does. Which, I mean, there's a time and place for that, but...
Yeah. It has one of the best closers ever, too. Sinking is probably the best album closer.
I mean, they get to the point where there's the Cure, there they are.
Yeah, I mean, and that's
it's
probably my favorite song on the record. But
what are we doing? Kate Bush. I'm surprised nobody mentioned Hounds of Love.
Yeah, I don't have it. I was gonna pull it.
I don't either.
I don't have it, so I was like, well, I'm not gonna pull it.
I need to get that, but it's not as good. I don't like it as much as The Dreaming, but it is pretty good. And of course, it has
the
that
one I have. Yeah.
That new song from a couple of years ago, Running Up That Hill, that just came out. Yeah,
it just came out last year.
It just came out on the Stranger Things soundtrack. Brand new song.
Brand new. Never been out before.
That is on there. And Accept, following up their big, huge Balls to the Wall album with Metal Heart, including the song Bound for Failure. We're bound to fail. Not too many hard rock songs are like, bound to fail, we're bound to fail. Yeah, you don't hear that very often, but Accept does. I'm surprised nobody mentioned R.E.M. Fables of the Reconstruction. But anyway, I just have, again, these are in no order, but I do have one left. And people have already hated on Scarecrow and Little Creatures. I don't even want to show this. I just think this is a fun album. Oh, wow. Mick Jagger and She's the Boss. It's not the Rolling Stones.
No, it's not.
It's definitely a pop album, but it is quite silly. Lucky in Love is just hilarious. Whether you're talking about the video version or the album version, they're kind of different. Lonely at the Top. I mean, it's fun. It's Lonely at the Top. And, of course, Lucky, or what was it? Just Another Night.
Dirty Work.
Which
I think came out like a year before, maybe.
Yeah, the year before Dirty Work. I'd rather hear this than Dirty Work, actually.
Absolutely. Jeff Beck is on guitar.
If you want to see Mick Jagger in some gray jogging pants with his balls hanging down.
Beautiful. That's lovely.
Well, She's the Boss.
The back of his ball sack. And watching Wheel of Fortune.
Oh, that's what's happening. Okay.
But yeah, so
nice.
And
Mick
the boss
Jagger,
was Jerry Hall back then, wasn't it?
Jerry Hall.
They were still
I don't think
married
that's. I think that's just a model. I don't know who that is. That's the boss.
Oh, that's definitely not. That's probably his girlfriend. Not his wife.
Obviously, the Cure album and the John Cougar Mellencamp album and the Eurythmics album is better, but that's a fun.
Yeah.
I'd put that in probably 9th place. But yeah, those are my top albums from 1985. And now, since we've mentioned the tops, now it's time for the bottoms. The real fun begins now. It's
No,
the
that was
worst of 1985, according to
No.
Mike.
There's some crap.
Yeah, let me
Boy.
guess. Little Creatures, Scarecrow, this stuff we've already shown.
No, I'm not. I'm not. No. Why would I go after Little Creatures again when you could talk about
When you've
Dire
already
Straits
said
and Money? And I've already done it. Dire Straits, Money for Nothing. That absolutely horrible Heart album with Never and all that crap on it. Rush
The
had
thing
probably
about the Heart album is,
I love it.
it's pretty. I don't hate the Heart.
they
album.
hate it.
Well, I know
They
they
don't
hate
like
it, but the thing is, that was like, because I'm a youngin. Not really, but that was like the first Heart album I ever heard.
Yeah,
So-
and it's
so
saved their
It was
career.
probably
when
the
you
first Heart
compare it,
album a lot of people heard.
when you compare it to what was out right before that with like Private Audition and what was the other one? It's better than those two.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But the thing about this is the single versions are better than what's on the album. Nothing at all and Never.
Yeah.
The single remixes are better than the album
Yeah,
versions anyway.
yeah.
Okay. Rush released probably their worst album, Power Windows. Mick Jagger released She's the Boss. Jeff Beck saves that record. The Clash, while Big Audio Dynamite was making a masterpiece, the Clash were somehow still together with a couple of members and Joe Strummer, and they released an album called Cut the Crap.
Yeah.
Which they definitely should have.
Yeah.
Elton John released Ice on Fire.
Nikita.
Is Nikita on that one?
Yeah.
great.
Because he
That-
says with eyes that
song
looked like
sucks.
ice on fire. Yeah.
That's right. yeah. Bob Dylan released Empire Burlesque. Is probably, I don't know. He's got a lot of bad albums.
Never heard.
Starship. In knee deep in the hoopla.
Oh, it's so good.
It sucks.
that album is like it's like a black hole in the music world. It just
I
It's
love
silly.
it.
It's
I love it.
and then the great Robert Plant released, I think his third solo record. No, maybe his fourth solo record, Shaken and Stirred. And it is absolutely horrendous. Awful 80s production.
Yeah.
Thankfully, Phil Collins was not involved in it, I don't believe.
He might as
Yeah,
well,
that
though.
was-
It sounds like he was.
He might as well,
Love
because it does
Phil
have that Phil Collins
so
feel to
much.
it.
Yeah.
Horrible album.
Jesus Lord.
Yeah, that's about it. And I did write actually at the bottom. I put Phil, so I'm guessing anything Phil Collins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That would be
we
No
love-
Jacket Required was his 85.
Was
one.
that-
It
that-
was
yeah,
Studio and Don't Lose My
Ooh.
Number. And,
Oh,
yeah.
don't you lose
God.
my
I almost added those to
number.
the list, but I thought those were just too bad.
The amount of music he put out between Genesis and solo stuff, from say like Abacab to I don't know the entire 80s, I guess is what. Unbelievable the production he did. I mean, he just cranked out some. I mean, he was at a creative high. I'll give him credit for that.
And he also played both Live Aids. The only
And he played both Live Aids, which was a shtick,
the only
but he
artist
did
to
it.
do that. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and, then,
backed
he
up
ruined, and
Led
then he
Zeppelin.
ruined Led Zeppelin. So
Oh,
those are my bottoms. I don't know. I hate dissing on it. I also put Aerosmith Done with Mirrors on that.
That was pretty
on my-
bad.
It was pretty bad. It was before they.
Now,
had the
it was bad, but
resurgence.
it didn't qualify as a bottom for me. But
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, it
but
was just
yeah.
kind of it was like a hard, kind of like a hard rock thing that didn't really have any
Yeah.
super memorable moments.
Yeah, but they sure did come back, didn't they?
oh yeah, they hopped back in that saddle, and the horse.
No one ever
bumped
saw
right
that
off.
coming.
I
No
didn't
one saw
care
that
for
coming.
Permanent Vacation that much. I liked Pump, but Permanent Vacation I didn't
I don't
really
like any
care
of that. I don't like any of that stuff.
I
give
liked
me that.
Crying off Get a Grip.
Oh, I was crying.
Yeah.
But man, that band came back from the fucking garbage. I mean, they were done. But yeah, that's it. I'm done.
All right, it's time for Craig and his bottoms.
I have 7 bottoms for y'all.
Are
Yeah.
these albums or singles?
These
It's
are
almost two
singles.
apiece.
These are what? It's almost what? Oh, 2 apiece. Oh, I got you. I get the 3. All right.
It is Saturday night.
Yeah,
I mean
it's
Sunday.
Saturday night.
That makes it all right.
Number 7.
She had a pocket full of used Trojans.
Who has used Trojans?
The Girl in Little Red Corvette. Anyway, yes.
Oh, I got you. Okay. I was singing a different Saturday Night song, but all right. Garbage, Foreigner with their horrible "I Want to Know What Love Is."
Good.
I want to puke all over
God.
that.
A good band goes.
I want you to know, show me. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awful.
This is
people got laid to that damn song.
I know they
even though it's
did.
supposed
I
to be
got
like a
laid to
Christian.
that damn song.
Oh well, congrats. What's the problem?
Yeah, well, maybe that's my problem. I never
We'll
got
discuss
laid
that
to
off
it.
air.
I
Oh,
never
okay.
got laid to that song. That's why I'm upset. That's why I hate it. Okay. I always thought like, oh, this band's name is kind of, I don't know, groovy. I don't know. It's terrible, but it's
Cock
like,
Robin.
oh, Cock Rock. Yeah, that's a good band name. But
Look it up in the phone book. It'd be
They're-
Robin Cock.
song.
Sounds like grand larceny.
All right.
Yeah. Well, it depends on how. Could be
Anyways,
petty.
I thought
yes.
this band
Continue.
name-
Yeah, it
Continue,
could be
Brad.
petty theft.
expected from a name. I don't know. I expected maybe something a little better. It just not that their band name is good, but just like something more than what. Because it sounded like maybe it would be like punk or new wave, or and I don't know. And maybe they had something that was I don't know. They're crap. But anyways, fucking Scritti Politti with Perfect Way. That song makes me want to die. It's
I can't remember it.
vaguely.
Shut the
Yeah,
fuck
that's
up,
not-
you
yeah, it's
stupid
not very good at all.
motherfuckers. I love him, but I don't love this song. So, and I'll just blurt it out. Stevie Wonder with Part-Time Lover. I don't like it. Who is this guy? I think this was on a soundtrack. I don't know. But the song's terrible. Glenn Fry.
He was
You belong to the city.
He was lead
He
singer
was
of
from
the
the
Eagles.
Eagles.
It's also a bad song. You are
Yeah,
absolutely correct.
I own one Eagles album, so sorry, I don't know. You belong.
No, his solo stuff is awful.
Is it Lady of Night? I don't know.
I like the "You Belong to the City" and "Smuggler's Blues." Anyway,
All
Smuggler's
that.
Blues is okay.
He had a bunch of huge hits, and with Miami Vice thing
That
and all
was a
that crap.
huge hit. That was a huge hit. I just think it's terrible.
It is. You're right.
Okay, this song, in perspective of now, when you know what you know now, this terrible song.
I love these introductions.
I did too.
Lord Jesus, have mercy, because you have two of the biggest gays ever. And of course, they weren't the gays. Well, they were the gays, but they weren't like, "Hi, I'm here, I'm queer, get used to it." But you have fucking Elton John and George Michael.
well, I thought you were going to say David Bowie and Mick Jagger dancing in the street.
All right.
Was
Wrap
that 85?
her
Yes.
up.
Yes.
God, even Bowie's
Elton
like,
John,
what? Sorry.
George Michael, wrap her up. I'll take her home with me. Wrap her up. She's all I need. Wrap her up. I only got one chance. Beast and beauties, but they all can dance. Watch the fucking
remember
video. Elton has the most
No.
amazing mullet you've ever seen. George is only like in 4 seconds of the video. And then they have a shout out at the end. It's like, Doris Day, woo, Samantha Fox, Joan Collins, and then they go Kiki D. And
Kiki
there's
D.
Kiki D is in the fucking video.
And she hasn't been. It was like, whoa! When did we go back 10 years? Nobody had heard Kiki D in like a decade.
No. And then and they're like Marilyn Monroe. Blah. That was probably the best part.
Nicolette Larson,
It was
George Michael had some terrible songs. He really
this is
did.
an Elton.
He really
song,
did.
though. This is an Elton. And then later you have, although I don't know,
It's
have,
probably
Well,
on the
by this-
Ice on Fire album, right?
It's
Yeah,
on
I think
the
it's
album.
right.
Yeah.
Elton John was
Yeah.
cranking out turds too.
Oh, yeah. He had a lot of
I mean,
right in a
I
row.
love Elton, and then of course later they redeemed themselves and did "Don't Let the Sun," whatever that song is, shine
Yeah.
down on me or whatever. Although
Go
Elton
down.
version,
Go down.
Please
Yeah,
let
don't
your
let the
sun
sun
go down on
go
me.
down on me.
the goat is going down on me. The sun is gonna go down.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Elton John.
on me. Yes. Number 2. What the fuck?
I don't know that one.
John fucking Fogerty with Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. I want to be center field. What the hell? And then if you ever, I've only been to like 2 baseball games, like professional in my entire life. Of course, I was playing. Of course, anytime I think anybody goes to a baseball game, that's playing and take me out to the ball game because stupid. But what the hell? I don't like it. It's not good. It's terrible. But the biggest piece of garbage from 1985 was already mentioned a few seconds ago. What the fuck, Mick Jagger and David Bowie with your dancing in the street. And then the video.
The video's the worst.
There's Nancy little prancy little fairies dancing. Woo! We're dancing in the street.
I saw. Looks, they're not even dancing in the street. Looks like they're dancing next to a warehouse brick
dumpster, aren't they? I swear there's like.
And I saw that on the big screen. I think it might have been Back to the Future. I was in a movie theater and that came on like before the movie. Like the video just came on. It's the only time I'd ever seen a music video in a movie theater, and it just played. There was no explanation. I'm pretty sure it was Back to the Future. I could be wrong about that, but yeah, it was 85, and I was in a movie theater. We were watching a movie, you know, as you do in a movie theater, and unless you're doing the popcorn trick, and all of a sudden, this music video just comes on. It's okay, MTV, and it was huge on the screen.
Bowie,
and you wish.
Bowie has said it's probably the most embarrassing moment of his career. He looked back on it and was just like, "What was I doing?"
It had something to do with Live Aid too. I don't know.
Did it? I don't know.
It had something to do with Live Aid. They there was some kind of like commercialism involved in the whole thing. I remember that too. Yeah, it was awful.
And Dancing in the Street from Martha and the Vandellas was really supposed to be, from what I understand, like a coded protest song.
Mm.
You know, but they couldn't say, let's get out in the street and demand our rights or whatever. We're going to get out of this. So it was kind of like a...
Because when did it come out? It was like
65, I think, or 66.
All right, yeah.
Oh, that's
there was
late.
A lot
I
of,
didn't
lot
realize
of shit
it was
going
that
on.
late.
Yeah. Maybe it was 60.
That song came out in early 60s.
Maybe it was 62. Maybe it was 54. I don't...
Let's when all else failed.
That's what we do. We make shit up.
That's
Welcome
right.
To the vinyl,
and then
welcome to the vinyl community, people.
And Craig sets the record straight.
He
corrects the record.
Single performed. He was pretty damn close. It's a single performed by Martha and Vandellas from 1964.
64.
Okay.
Yeah, you said 65, right?
Yeah, 65
pretty
or
damn
60,
close.
Yeah.
Oh, all
I
right.
thought that song came out earlier. Interesting.
All right. Well, my bottom singles. You're going to hate me for these first two.
No,
I think you're going to hate me for these.
Well, let's find out.
Do They Know It's Christmas from Band Aid?
What in the fuck? I karaoke'd that and had the whole bar singing. The left was singing Free the World. The right was singing Let Them Know It's Christmas.
You just
Very
proved
proud
the
of
point. That song sucks. It's a karaoke song.
No.
I'm the only person I've ever seen karaoke that.
I'm sure. I've never seen anybody karaoke yet.
Thank you.
I'm with you, Fifth, then. I'm with you and I.
Outrageous.
Oh.
And
the other one that
like
you're going to hate me for, We Are the World from USA for Africa.
Kind of.
I just... Now, Duran Duran has had a couple good songs, but the Wild Boys just makes me want to rip my ears out.
Yeah,
It's just, God,
like
it's
it.
terrible.
That's bad.
Someone already said Foreigner, I Want to Know What Love Is. It's just, that just makes me want to smash my head through a
It's
window.
beautiful.
It's romantic. It's so dreamy.
Do you remember David Lee Roth's cover of California Girls?
Oh, yeah.
Was that
And
year?
Just a Gigolo.
God, man.
I dig the girls!
And then the band that should have retired years before, REO Speedwagon with Can't Fight This Feeling.
Retired. They're still going.
I liked One Lonely
Rip
Night.
Fest.
Which one?
One Lonely Night.
Oh,
One Lonely Night. Oh, that's all it takes to complete.
Then Rhythm of the Night, but not the one by Corona, by DeBarge.
There is
That's-
absolutely nothing wrong with that song.
That song is
It's until the morning light that you can live.
Oh, I know that song.
The rhythm of the night. Oh, the rhythm of the night.
Yeah,
Oh, we
just
love us the bars.
talk about corn.
From the
man.
movie
It's
The
like
Last Dragon.
It's like the corn in that song could feed a cow.
I would feed my cow.
Which was his number one song of 1985.
When it feels like the
Murray
world is
Head.
on
You
your
remember
shoulder.
Murray Head? One Night in Bangkok.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I love Murray Head.
Oh Jesus!
One night in Bangkok.
Bangkok, Oriental City, where the city don't know, with something.
Yeah, God, what a! He just talks his way through it. He's not even really singing. It's
From the
just-
movie, from the musical Chess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
The Mary Jane Girls in my house because of the clap machine. I hate those clap machines where they do this, where they do that. Instead of doing real clapping or real, rim shots on a snare, they use a machine. And it's just really, if they could get rid of that, that song would be tolerable.
I got screamed at for saying the same exact thing, but okay.
I don't know that you necessarily ever get screamed at, my darling, but whatever.
The point is, Richard gets to have opinions that I don't get to have. I don't like clap tracks either.
You get
Opinion
to
envy.
have
Oh,
your
my.
opinion, and you let us. Yeah, we get your opinion a lot, and you're
That's
allowed
why-
to have them. You
that's
are
why I
allowed
drink.
to have them, my dear darling. Whoa, my shit fell. That's fine. Go ahead.
Fallen shit. All right. Speaking of fallen shit, is Money for Nothing, Dire Straits. However, I'm going to say I do like that album.
Ugh,
All right.
I knew we couldn't
do
get through
like
this whole
the
thing
album. I like
without somebody talking about how awesome that album is.
Yeah.
I don't think he said it was
good
awesome.
songs on there. There are some good
Like
songs
so
on
far
there.
away, you're so far away from me. So far,
That's
I
not
just
one
can't
of them.
see. You're so
That's not
far
one of
away.
them.
You're so far away.
The
from
Man's
me.
Too Big is a good song.
The band's too big.
The
Yeah.
man's too big.
Yeah. That's a good song.
I can't relate to that.
No.
But
And
the worst single ever. This is the worst ever,
Okay,
ever,
right.
ever. I mean, they played the song so much. There were times where I did not want to just turn off the radio. I wanted to smash the radio, and that is Starship. We Built This City. Oh my God, I hated that song. Oh.
It's embarrassing. It's really embarrassing. They
And it has like a cheesy DJ on there. The city that rocks, the city that never sleeps. Blah, blah, blah. You know.
Yeah, no, they should be so embarrassed by that.
I have
Is
two
it-
bottom
It was a
albums.
huge hit for him, though.
Oh,
The
absolutely.
Power
Huge-
Station.
Huge hit.
Power Station. Don't like that. That's a
You
bottom
didn't. I was
album.
going to actually pull that as. I actually like that record. It's the '80s production again.
Well,
Kinda
you also
ruins
like the other one I hate, and that's
I
Tom
think
Petty's
that
Southern
is. I
Accents.
mean, that is the
Oh, I love
quintessential '80s production album with
Power Station. Yeah.
The Southern Accents, man. I just think that album sucks. Out of all his entire catalog, it is clearly, in my opinion,
Really?
the worst album of all of Tom Petty's albums.
So
I'm
it's
disappointed
worse than
with
Let
that.
Me Up. I've had enough.
I don't know that one because I probably
Yeah,
was.
that's my least
That's
favorite.
terrible. Yeah.
Was that after Southern Accents?
We
Yeah,
showed.
that was-
I showed it last week. What did we
It's
do last
87,
week?
yeah.
The one with all the
87?
picture thing? Oh, yeah. That was 87. Terrible, right?
So bad they didn't put any songs on it on his greatest hits album.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Southern. I was.
And this is a guy who really didn't make a horrible album. I mean,
I know.
There's
That's why I
nothing
was
wrong
So
with any of
disappointed
them.
for me with Southern Accents. It was
I
such.
mean, that's the
a
one with Don't Come
major
Around Here No
disappointment.
More on it.
Yeah,
No.
Yeah, that's a good
Rebels.
And it was
Yeah.
supposed to be Stevie.
Yeah, it's
No,
a
I-
good song, but terrible album. That's what I got for my bottoms.
Well done.
So
Slapping
my
silly.
bottoms are really disappointing albums. And so I feel like I have to pause because I'm sure you three know what the word disappointing is. But for people watching, these are disappointing albums. Because I made a video one time about disappointing albums, and I think people get confused. In order to be disappointed, you have to have some sort of, the band has to have a past that you like, and that's why you're disappointed.
They're a letdown.
Right.
Yeah.
You were expecting more.
For example, in
You
1985, Air Supply released an album. It's not a disappointing album because it's Air Supply.
There's
what you're getting.
Disappointing about Air Supply.
Right.
These are disappointing albums. Okay, so these are in no particular order. Somebody already mentioned, I think Richard mentioned it, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Soul to Soul, after doing Couldn't Stand the Weather and Texas Flood. Just like Richard said, it's all about the alcoholism. This is the reason for this.
I think
it's lazy. It's all over the place.
Too.
Heroin and alcohol.
He was in bad. He was in bad shape.
Is that around the time he did the Star Spangled Banner and got booed?
Yeah.
Why is it so many great guitar players are junkies?
AC/DC, Fly on the Wall. They had come out with Flick of the Switch a couple of years earlier. That was pretty bad, and then this comes out, and it's just like, you know what?
Awful.
I think they're done, and they were. They kept putting out album after album after album after album after album after album after album, but they never were as good as Highway to Hell or, Dirty Deeds Done Cheap or, High Voltage or any of that stuff. Cheap. So, yeah. Fly on the Wall was terrible. Echoey, and just the production was horrible on it. Somebody mentioned this one, but not as a disappointment, and that would be the Dead Kennedys' Frankenchrist. After doing a bunch of great political singles and really having something to say, it just seemed to me like on this one, they were just kind of going back and making fun of high school stuff, like football teams and I don't remember what else. There's no track listing on here, but Jockorama was the one that stands out. It's just kind of sophomoric compared to their earlier stuff, which is a little more cerebral, I guess. I was really disappointed in Frankenchrist, which was the first Dead Kennedys album I ever had.
I think it was the first a lot of people had.
And thought it was going to be great, and it was like, yeah, this isn't really that good. Let's see, who else is disappointing? Motley Crue. I really liked their first two albums, especially the first one, Too Fast for Love, and the Shout at the Devil was okay, but Looks to Kill. I absolutely love that song. Raw and fun and young and lean and mean and whatever, and then this bloated mess comes out. And unfortunately, this was their big album,
Yeah.
This is the one where everybody in my school had the shirt with the track listing on the back of it because they were too young to go to the concert. I knew the names of every one of these friggin' songs and don't really know what any of these songs sound like. I totally have forgotten at this point, except for the singles. Smoking in the Boys' Room, a remake of the Brownsville Station song.
Yeah.
And
I remember that. Yeah.
Home Sweet Home.
Home Sweet Home's like the best song on here. That's how ridiculous the album is.
Wow.
But it just sounds cliched. It
never
just
a
sounds,
Motley Crue fan. I just
and
never
total
enjoyed them.
80s sheen production nonsense.
Yeah.
What else do we have on here? The Clash, Cut the Crap, where Joe Strummer goes and hires two guys and literally dresses them in leather and does their hair so they look punk. And I hear it was really their manager or somebody like that was in control of that album and just really horrible. They got a song on there called "We Are the Clash," like "Hey, we're the Clash," and people say we clash around. We're too busy punking or to put anybody down or whatever. Yeah. I think that's I've heard it once. I don't really remember it, I will admit. And this one I get a lot of controversy for, but I was 11 years old. I probably told the story on here before. I know I told it on one of my own videos. Loved Prince. Couldn't get enough. He was like, it was like Kiss when I was 7. After that, it was the Beatles, everything was the Beatles. And after the Beatles, everything had to be Prince. And then this came out. And I was completely confused. I was like, I was wanting more of 1999, more of Purple Rain, more of controversy. And instead I get this kind of weird, all over the place album that was not satisfying at all. I've grown to like it a lot more later on in life, but I remember when this came out, I was like, what the hell is this? And
Nobody liked it when it came out.
And
nobody
Around the World
liked
in a
it.
Day.
Everyone was disappointed.
I know a lot of people who now say this is their favorite Prince album.
Okay.
It's still not my favorite Prince album by any stretch of the
No.
imagination, but
No.
yeah, Prince.
Revisiting it though it's not horrible.
Yeah, once you know what it is, and it's kind of. But thankfully, when that came out, if you liked Prince for Purple Rain in 1999, all you had to do was get the Ready for the World album, and it was like you had a new Prince album that wasn't Around the World in a Day. So yeah, there's the remedy.
Oh, Sheila.
Right, exactly. It sounded just like Prince in his prime, and that's what happens when people get when popular people get weird. A band will come along and go, "We'll take over," and that's Ready for the World. They did this thing.
Prince.
And this was the most disappointing purchase I had ever made. I've talked about this before, but I don't think I've talked about it on here. I still have the tape.
Oh, Rock Me Amadeus.
Rock Me Amadeus.
I loved Rock Me Amadeus. I loved 99 Luftballons, and I took German because all of these German pop songs were coming out. Well, 2 anyway. And then I mentioned I was all about the Beatles, and the Beatles had 2 of their songs that did them in German. So I thought, wow, Spanish or German? I want to take German because I want to know what all these songs are saying. And I love the German Falco Rock Me Amadeus. I can rap the entire thing for you right now, but I'm not going to do that. But I went out and spent the money I had saved up on the tape thinking that I was going to get a bunch of great German songs. The Rock Me Amadeus on here is not the one that you see on the video. It is not the one on the 45. It is some bullshit version where some dorky sounding dude just goes, 1865, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart did this, was born. 1835, Wolfgang Amadeus wrote his first symphony. 1842, blah, 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 and it's just a bunch of dates and then things that happened. And then it goes, 1742. I don't know what the dates are, but that's the whole song. And then it takes pieces of the actual German song, like when he goes Rock Idol, which is Rock Idol. It just goes horrible. And I remember
trying to do Max Headroom or something.
Right, so pissed off. I was a pissed off 8th grader when this came out. I had saved my money, and Craig can't even.
Where'd that
handle it.
other
He's
guy
gone.
go?
He's gone. He can't handle it.
So
I remember both of those
Falco
versions.
opinion.
I remember the one that went through like the history, and I thought, what the hell is this?
What the fuck is this? And I spent my money on that, and oh my god, it was terrible.
But
So
the
yeah,
single
Rock Me
version,
Amadeus.
the single version was fun.
I was so pissed off that I left you. I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
I
Your
got
love for
the and just that 1980 or 1899 Mozart did this. Yeah, that's just my favorite.
but yeah, total disappointment. That was the most disappointing thing of the entire year. But the worst album of the year, not a disappointment, but just the worst album, obviously, Dire Straits, Brothers in Arms. Come on now, it's terrible. It's a piece of shit. Mark Knopfler is a garbage person. The whole Money for Nothing debacle.
Oh, you have one more.
Yeah,
One
it's
more.
just like Dear Mr. Jesus, how I had so bad it's actually entertaining. It's already been talked about, but We Are the World.
Oh, you love it.
So bad it's entertaining. The stupid video. I mean, I obviously had raised awareness. It did a great thing. It raised a lot of money. It spurred Live Aid.
Not taken away from that.
Basically took the Band-Aid, Do They Know It's Christmas, and Americanized it, and we did our part and everything, and it, a lot of awareness. And I love the Bruce Springsteen
Made a
song
lot
on
of white
this
people
album
feel good.
called Trapped. Anyway, the video. Oh my God. With everybody is like singing here, and everybody's like, there apparently was a sign on the door that said, leave your ego outside. But in the video, it's like everybody's just kind of chilling. And then you have Michael Jackson. Oh my God. There's his shoe. Oh, it's his ankle.
Wasn't
we're
there
going up
somebody
his
that
leg.
they put that sign out there for a specific artist or something?
No, well, Prince thought it was for him because he's got such a big ego, and he left. And that's why he's not on the recording. Also missing Madonna.
Yeah.
She was not invited.
She probably read the sign too.
No, Michael Jackson was threatened by her popularity. Now, that's really helping out Ethiopia. That's really putting the cause first.
Yeah, that's
John Denver, huge humanitarian, not invited, not hip enough, but we can get LaToya Jackson and Dan Aykroyd, for fuck's sake.
yeah.
It's like in this song,
Oh, yeah,
everybody
Dan
has.
Aykroyd.
There was a
forgot
lot
about
of good
that.
intentions with those concerts and everything, but the whole
Oh.
deal of the way they carried it off, it was just so.
And
So
everybody sounds like,
sanitized.
well, not everybody, but some people on here sound like cartoon caricatures of themselves. Like Bob
That's what
Dylan.
they wanted. That's what they
Bob
wanted.
Dylan sounds like a comical Bob Dylan impersonator. Like, if you was right a better day, you and me. It doesn't sound like Bob Dylan. It sounds like somebody making fun of Bob Dylan. The worst
They
is
should have got
Bruce
Adrian
Springsteen.
Ballou.
Bruce Springsteen's worse. He's the worst on this. I mean, everybody's singing, their part. Kenny Rogers sounds like Kenny Rogers, Cyndi Lauper. Wow, 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 wow. And then
That part.
and then here comes Bruce Springsteen. It's like, Jesus, dude, calm the fuck down. It's not
that's what
that
they
kind of
wanted.
song. I can
They
just see
wanted
people's
that.
headphones just blowing apart when he comes. It's just way over the top. Way over the top. My favorite part in this whole song, and it's the only part that I would sing along with,
The end.
Kim Carnes.
Oh, Kim Carnes.
Kim Carnes has the best part in the whole song. When
She
we...
has Betty Davis eyes.
That's her part.
Wow.
When
done,
we...
Oh my.
So every
goodness.
time that comes up, I made sure I would sing along with that. When we... Kim Carnes, ladies and gentlemen.
I love Kim
When
Carnes.
we.
Nobody
Almost like
win-wees
Enwy.
like Kim Carnes in USA for Africa.
Nobody did it better. All right,
We are the world. So those are my bottoms.
All right, and you ready for what we're doing next week?
Those
Yes,
bottoms
please.
deserve a
God, I
spot.
hope
Stop
it's not
me before
86.
I continue. Before I find another
It's-
bottom.
It's not. It's not the 80s.
Good.
It's 1969.
Ooh.
Wow. Get ready for a
Mike-
special 3-part episode.
Oh,
Right?
No shit.
I don't
No
even know
shit.
if I have anything from 19. I'll look up 1969 and decide if I do.
No, I got. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
probably half my collection is.
Before we
Well,
do
right.
the album,
Most
are
of my
you-
collection is 60s and 70s
when
music.
we
So
that's beautiful.
I
That's
forgot to mention my
marvelous.
dumbest single of the year. And it's Billy Crystal. And he had a song called You Look Marvelous because he had this character he would do in like a Desi Arnaz voice. And he would say, You look marvelous. Isn't that hilarious?
You look marvelous.
That was awful. First of all, Billy Crystal, not a funny person.
I don't understand why. I mean, people talk about like things aren't funny anymore and nobody can do comedy. In 1985, there were things that weren't funny either, like a dude saying, You look marvelous.
You look
What is so
marvelous.
funny about that? And he had a whole song where he would be like, Cher, you look marvelous. Grace Jones, you look marvelous.
Marvelous.
Madonna, you look and that was a single. That was on the top of the 100. So
Wasn't
that's
there
the worst single.
Wasn't there a video too? I think there was a video that went along with it.
Oh yeah, he's in a
I'm sure there
nightclub and they're
was,
all
yes.
like impersonating. Some of them are real. I think Sting is in the video, but yeah.
Oh, Sting, you look marvelous.
Well,
Yeah,
then-
you look marvelous, Sting. Oh my God, that's so funny. He said
that
you look
makes it
marvelous.
legit. If Sting was part of it, that makes
Right.
it legit.
Well, for my,
Also, I have an award for most annoying song that was annoying later, and that goes to Voices Carry from Till Tuesday. Because I used to have a USB stick in my car, and it would keep resetting.
That was one of my favorites.
Right. Well, the USB thing would keep resetting like every 4 times I would get in the car, and then it was every 3 times I'd get in the car, and then it was every time I get in the car. And so for a while, for about a few months, every time I got in the car, it would reset, and Till Tuesday Voices Carry would play. Because it was done by artist, and Till Tuesday starts with an apostrophe. So it was at the top. So it would reset, and I was like, every time I got in the car for like 5 months, I would hear Voices Carry from Till Tuesday. Anyway,
Oh, hush now. I don't want to hear this.
I will. And it's time for the album review.
Oh, let's do it. Let's do it.
Yes, who's first?
I believe you.
Oh, I guess I won't hush then.
Yeah.
We are reviewing Gary Numan and Tubeway Army with Replicas from 1979 as suggested by Mike. I did a review of this on my Instagram, so if anybody read that,
I did read that.
We read it.
Spoiled. Oh, so everybody already knows my review.
Well,
everybody here.
For those that don't have
the audience.
Instagram, wow, he wrote.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
So the first time I heard this album was in my car, appropriately. This is Gary Numan.
They're in your car. Mm-hmm.
Right. And then I listened to it again. But yeah, it sounds like it is from an era. It's definitely from an era. It's almost, it's kind of a dated sound. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. It reminded me the first time I heard it of like watching an old sci-fi movie from the 80s with the technology, is outdated or whatever, but it's still fun, like Tron or Blade Runner or something like that, or War Games or whatever. But yeah, let's see. What did I say about this? I'm not going to read all that. Anyway, yeah, I really thought that it had a concept. It seemed like it had a whole theme that was the whole album. It was really impressive. It was fun to listen to. It wasn't exactly cutting edge anymore, but it was charming, and it's kind of nostalgia, I guess. But I don't really have a nostalgia for it because I'd never heard it before. But I'd never heard a Gary Numan album before. I shouldn't have gotten that drink, that third one. Yeah, I'd never heard Gary Numan album before. I mean, I'd heard the Single Cars, and I think I heard our friend's Electric a couple of times. It seems like it's in a transition between him going from being in this group called Tubeway Army to being solo. That's why it's credited to both Gary Numan and Tubeway Army. It's also in a transition from being a completely electronic sound of the 80s, and then the sweet spot that I love where you have the electronic music, but you still have real human beings playing things like guitars and especially drums. That's my whole thing. I love it when real people are playing the drums because the drummer can fall in and out of the pocket, and it's almost like that's happening in this. It's almost like there's certain parts of the album where there's like a little bit of catch-up playing, like, oh my god, the machine is almost taking over, I better catch back up. It's very subtle, but you have to really listen for it. But I love the real instruments juxtapositioned with the synth stuff. I think that's when it sounds best. I don't like, and the synth stuff is there for a reason. It's part of the story. It's not just synth music because the band doesn't give a shit or isn't talented enough to play real instruments. It's not just a bunch of love songs. It's not like the Human League, where it's a bunch of random love songs with a bunch of synth instruments behind it and a bunch of computers playing. There's a reason you're hearing computer music and synths and things like that. Electronica, basically. And I thought it was really worked well. I thought that, I have favorite songs in there, but I think the Mockman was one of my favorites. I think the one with the really heavy guitar was a good one too. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I didn't know what to think of Gary Numan, but I definitely want to hear more. I wonder what he sounds like later on. I'm almost fearful that the synths completely take over and he fires the band and goes solo. But yeah, I really enjoyed that album, and I'm really glad I listened to that. Down in the Park has this brooding, thing, and that's the thing. The synths go from being this happy beepity to this almost, kind of scary, kind of ominous sound, where it's like the same thing happens in those old movies, where the computers start out friendly and then they sneak up on you and get ominous and it goes all the way back to like 2001: A Space Odyssey. But the final track where the computers have taken over completely and there's not even a voice anymore. I thought it was a brilliant way to end that. I don't know how you follow that up and just do it again or whatever, but this album just sounds like a nice package, a nice story, a nice concept. And the first time I heard it, I thought about maybe giving it 3.5 rainbows, but then I heard it 2 more times, and I think it's a solid 4. I'll give this a solid 4 rainbows. I really enjoyed it more the more I heard it, and the more I kind of was able to listen more closely. And I usually, anybody that pays attention knows I don't like a lot of software type music, but here it makes sense. There's a reason. It's not just loves that. I just can't get enough. I just can't get. It's not that. There's a purpose.
Oh,
And so Gary Numan, Replicas. I will give it 4 rainbows. So Mike is on a roll. 2 is a roll with the Vinyl Community Guncles.
Ooh.
2 is a roll.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Talk. You guys surprised me with that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was thinking when I was researching this, I realized that Gary Numan was 21 at this time, and I started thinking, wow, to be 21 and to be as good looking as he was. And I started thinking, wow, to be a member of a band and at 21, Jesus, all the sex he must have been able to get at that time. I mean, that's where my mind went.
Of course.
Didn't think that was going to be part of the review.
I waked up in the middle of the road. So anyway, there were 3 songs that really I really liked. The first one was Down in the Park, and also You Are in My Vision. And one of the reasons I really like that is there was a combination. It's got a really good rock beat that's kind of got some punk roots to it. I kind of feel coming through, but his voice sounds more natural, more relaxed, not so robotic. Okay. The song It Must Have Been Years, again, his voice is so much more relaxed and looser. Really like those 3 songs. It's his voice in the rest of the album. I find it too metallic. I find it too even synthetic sounding. It just reminded me too much of Cars. And it was the music though. Like Robert was saying, I like the way you were talking about the synths, that the synthesizers were very intentional throughout the song creation, etc. But yeah, it's his voice that I kind of get hung up on, and it just those 3 songs, I just felt like, oh God, this is so good now, because he's not singing in that. To me, a really kind of sterile kind of way. The last 2 songs, the instrumentals, were okay in my mind, but I also thought this is not a good way to end an album with 2 instrumentals like that in a row. I mean, maybe a final song could be instrumental, but 2 of them in a row, I mean, like that was a little bit too much again for me. When the Machines Rock, it did strike me as being a bit cheesy, like it was from Plan 9 from outer space. That's the way it kind of hit me. I Nearly Married a Human. By that time I was already kind of like losing interest because of the previous instrumental. If they had placed them in different areas of the record, I might have had a different reaction. I just didn't think it was the right way to end an album. So yeah, it's those 3 songs. I wouldn't mind finding singles, and getting the singles. But I'm going to give it 3 rainbows. It's not an album if somebody played the album while I was at their house or something like that, I'm not going to tell them, hey, change this. This is terrible. I'll listen to it, but it's just, it's not something that excites me. It's not something that is going to, I'm going to talk over it. I'm going to talk to people and have a conversation, and I'm just going to kind of tune it out. So yeah, I'll give it 3 rainbows.
I'm inebriated, so I forgot 2 things, and Richard reminded me. So I'll go before Craig.
Do it.
I liked his voice. I thought it was perfect for the album. His voice sounds robotic, but he sounds like a feisty robot. He sounds like Neil Tennant's bratty little brother. I thought it was perfect.
That's a good description.
I thought it was perfect for that album. And this was the first. I just want to make one. I forgot to say this, but this was the first time in all of the albums that we've reviewed that I put this in my want list. So I actually do want to get this at one point. If it's like $10 or some $12, I will absolutely get this album.
It's reissued all the time. You can get it for probably $23.
I said 10 to 12.
Oh well,
10 to 12.
yeah. You can find an old copy, I'm sure too. Yeah, I mean
they're
pressing.
around, but yeah.
Anyway, I'm finished now for the time being.
All right. Well, I was going to mention the voice
Time being.
as he steps back into the darkness.
Right.
Because he's inebriated, folks. You never know what
Wow.
outburst will come.
Oh.
Well, I was going to mention the synthetic voice as well, because I felt like that again. That was part of the story, like it was necessary at times. I dug it, and then this is something I'm going to purchase as well. It is actually in the UK. It was released just as Tubeway Army. It is in the US where they added Gary Numan.
They added Gary Numan.
So this is technically the second and final Tubeway Army album. But then we've got to say Gary Numan, I guess, because the solo shit's moving forward. I don't know. I thought like immediately, like Me, I Disconnect From You. I was just like, what a great opener. It just kind of, and then it just kept flowing. The only song I knew on the record were Our Friends Electric. It's pretty much, other than Cars, about the only other song I know by Gary Numan. I remember like mid 2000s, maybe early 2010s, an album of his came out, and I was like, Gary Numan has an album, and I listened to it and I really liked it, but I don't know which one it was. I know that he's released quite a few, and maybe if I heard it again, I would be like, but I remember listening to it a lot, but I don't remember what album it was. And I went and looked through the catalog. None of the titles looked familiar, so I'm like, but I know there was a Gary Numan record in like either late 2000s, early 10s that came out that I was like, this is really good, and this is way different than Cars.
Oh yeah.
So Praying to the Aliens, Down in the Park. Okay, wow. But good. You Are in My Vision is probably my favorite, and I just love that You Are in My Vision, and then you are, and I can't turn my, and I just love the way his voice goes, and it must have been years, but it's good. It is kind of a weird way to close the album, but it almost seemed appropriate in a way. Like you've got this long story, and now it's almost was like maybe there should have been only one instrumental. I don't know, but it was almost kind of like the end credits. And actually, if you look and if you listen very carefully, he does say, "I nearly married a human twice." In this, you have to really, really. It took me a few times because I looked up, I was like, are there lyrics for this? And there are. And they say, I nearly married a human twice, but that's all the only thing that's spoken in the end. So maybe get one of those, but I felt like it was almost like an end credits. Like we've got this story that we've just told, and we've got the aliens and the humans and the robots and the whatever is going on here. And now it's like end credit, it's all over. So that's kind of what I felt. I definitely want to listen to it even more. I only had a chance to listen to it 3 times, but it's definitely something I want to explore, and I definitely would like to find this. I'm weird. I want it to just say Tubeway Army, so I want the UK pressing.
You want the UK?
Yeah. I was looking at him and like, I just want it to say, and then moving forward, if I get any more Gary Numan, which I probably will. I've always wanted to explore him more. And like I said, that one record, which one it was, I'll figure it out, Mike. I'll let you know.
Yeah, let me know,
and maybe let me know some of the ones that came out around that time, and maybe I'll go back and listen to them and see if it rings a bell. But I enjoyed it a lot. And also you have to think about too that this came out in 1979, and I think that to today's standards, and now I've had to today's standard, it seems dated. It seems, but you have to think about what it was in 1979. This was very inventive. This was very not like a lot that was going on during that time. I was very young, but in my like I would think that this is not a lot that was really happening.
I think a lot of people tried stuff like this, but I don't think they succeeded
I don't know if
like
it
he
works.
did.
Yeah, and
A lot failed, man.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of half-ass kind of stuff, but nothing was as successful as this. I don't mean like chart success. I mean like pulled it off.
But I definitely, this is definitely a solid 4 for me. So 4 rainbows from the Craig. And
Okay.
Okay, get it.
So anyone who watches my channel or knows me or even has seen a few videos of mine knows I love Gary Numan. I've been a Gary Numan fan since the day I heard Cars. When The Pleasure Principle came out, I remember exactly where I was. I remember we were at my friend Keith's house, and his sister had a cassette of The Pleasure Principle, and he put on Cars, and I was like, what the hell is this? This is the weirdest shit I've ever heard in my life. And I've been a fan ever since, even through the down period, and there was some down period, man. He made some bad music. He's back. I mean, he's released like 22 albums. So, and he's had his last 3-4 albums have been great. This is my favorite of all his 22 something records. I love Replicas. This is, in the UK it was billed as Tubeway Army. In America they tacked on the Gary Numan. The original Tubeway Army album was less electronic, less synths. I tell people I think it's a punk record. And it also came out in 79, early 79. This came out in late 79. This definitely my favorite Gary Numan record. I like it better than The Pleasure Principle, which is his big one with, I'm sure I should have pulled it and shown it, but that's one that has Cars with the gray cover. Great record. But by the time you get to that point, the synths are starting to really take over. And especially with his next album, Telecon, which is, his first 3 are absolute wonderful records. But by the time you get to Telecon, it's a lot more synths. And I love this because of the rawness with the guitar. I mean, like Robert said, there's actually people playing the instruments, and there's no drum machines. You got Phil Gardner on bass, who was a really solid bassist. There's 4 singles off this record: "Me Disconnect from You," "Our Friends Electric," "Down in the Park," and "You Are My Vision." Those are the three singles that were released off of it. "Down in the Park" is my absolute, hands down, favorite Gary Numan song. I love it. It is a highlight of his live shows at this point in his career. It is just mesmerizing. And I think Robert actually said it too. It's not that beep, 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 beep. It's the synths are heavy and they're dark, and I love that. And we would end up seeing bands like Depeche Mode do stuff like that later, but this is 1979. This is it sounds dated now, but it's fresh back in 1979. This is the height of the punk scene, I mean, and stuff like this is coming out. It's crazy. Devo also released their debut I think it was a couple months after this. So obviously also a huge, influential debut record with Devo, but Gary was doing it. I mean, he was doing it, and I love "Me Disconnect from You." It's a great opener. The Mockman, I love it. "Down in the Park," I just said, it's my favorite Gary Numan song. "You Are My Vision," you guys, it's probably in my top 5. It's so great, the way his vocals and the way he sings it. I just love it. I would have to actually agree with Richard. I don't think the album should end with 2 instrumentals. I think one, and I think Craig said the same thing. I think if they had ended the album with "I Nearly Married a Human," which is like 7 or 8 minutes long.
Yeah, it's pretty long.
Would have been perfect. Would have been the perfect ending to this album and the story that it tells. "When Machines Rock," that instrumental, I think they could have probably left that off. But otherwise, I love this record, and I think most Gary Numan fans would probably go with The Pleasure Principle. But this is definitely my favorite Gary Numan record, and I just love it. Yeah. I don't know what else to say about it. I'm glad you guys liked it. Yeah, I get the whole, the robotic metallic sound of his voice, and that would continue for the next couple of records. He did get a little more soulful after the first three records, and that it didn't work. Actually, the first four records are really, really good. Even the dance album that he released, excellent record. And now, if you listen to Gary Numan's records in the last 20 years, if you like Nine Inch Nails, you're gonna love Gary Numan because he sounds exactly like Nine Inch Nails. He's got a hard industrial sound. There's a lot of synths, but there's real people playing guitars and real drummers and real bassists. He always seems to be able to mix the two, and that's what I've always liked about him. It's just I absolutely love it. So you guys, I'm glad you loved it, and yeah, one of my favorite albums. I will give it 4.5 rainbows. What?
What would you give 5 rainbows then? That's your favorite album by your favorite artist, and it gets 4.5 rainbows? It's terrible.
Is it one of the greatest albums ever recorded? It's not. So I mean, 5 rainbows would have to be like. I mean.
Well, he also said that one instrumental was a throwaway. So
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't. Yeah. I mean, 5 rainbows is special.
I like the way it ended.
I save that for Night Moves.
Right.
Night Moves. That's 15.5? Night Moves.
I think this might be, a record that if I listen to the record instead of listening to it on my computer, I might have a different reaction.
Oh my God, listening to it on a computer, that's the way to do it. I mean, that adds a whole other level to the
maybe
story.
I won't like
it. I don't think you can go wrong with it.
It was fun in the car.
His first 4 records, this, Pleasure Principle, Telecon, and Dance. Absolutely fantastic. And
I'm getting Telecon flattened,
really
so
fast.
I should be able to hear that soon. Mine's warped.
Oh, is that the one that you had that was like sealed or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I've never heard it because it's warped. In mint condition otherwise, though. Looks like it's never been played. But yeah.
And the original comes with a 7-inch single, if you can find that. And I think
there's a promo copy. It's got a time strip on the timing thing on the front.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Nice.
Well,
what are we hearing?
All right,
now?
whose turn is it? Mike's turn again?
Mike's making another album.
Next after Mike, right?
No, I'm taking a break.
Richard, give it.
Yes. Okay. So
hip hop.
I thought,
great.
What the hell? When I bring this up, but maybe we'll see. But
what is that? What is? Oh no!
On the original, it came out like this because the record company was, we're gonna get sued. The Beatles are gonna sue us.
Yeah, this is actually the gatefold, right? This was the original gatefold.
Yeah, right.
Because it was supposed to look like Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band,
except they reversed it,
right?
Because Verve Records thought that,
which looks like this,
right?
So basically, they did that.
But they did that because that's not the way Frank wanted it. Right. He wanted it to be like the way the Beatles did, but the record company said, no, EMI is going to sue us if we do that.
And they were probably right.
Well, Paul McCartney ended up telling them that no, they wouldn't have. They wouldn't have given a shit.
Yeah, wow.
So, but anyway, that I thought, all right, yeah, we'll bring that up, and so we're only in it for the money from 1968.
What's the ugliest part of your body?
Some say it's your nose, some say it's your toes. I think it's your mind.
Of your body.
Let's make the water turn black. These are some titles. Oh, there's 2 what's ugliest part of your bodies.
Yeah, it has a reprise.
Oh, okay. Harry, you're a beast. Oh, these are some good titles. Who needs the piece?
Craig's going to immerse himself in this 19-song record.
We'll see.
Well, some of the
I don't
songs
know.
are a minute long.
Yeah, they're only a
no,
couple.
I'm
Yeah, there's a lot of
thinking-
very, very short songs. And be sure to find when you're listening to it online, find a site where you can see the lyrics.
Oh, well, I always look
Yeah, that's a good idea. I need.
I always
I'll
look
do
them
that
up.
with this one. Yeah.
Mother people. What's the ugliest part of your body?
We are the mother
Out of
people.
your-
We are the yeah.
Well, I will after this
Night.
be able to say that I've
Sleep
finally heard
in a
something
phone
in
booth.
Frank Zappa.
Well, this is the best Frank Zappa album, so you're starting with the best if you've not heard one before. Yeah, it's all downhill from here.
Okay, everything's terrible after that.
Yeah,
Wow.
pretty much. Well, there's
I got
another good
you.
one, and then everything else is you can.
Yes. In Robert's opinion, that's
Again.
we
Well, and
need
it's
to
the only
couch
opinion,
that.
isn't it? Right? Isn't it the only opinion? Robert?
It's the right one. It's not
That's
the
right.
only one.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. It's the only right opinion.
Yes.
You're
Now you
welcome.
understand, Craig.
Yeah, I have understanded it. That's not a word. Understanded is not right. Understanded, that's not a word.
Right, it would be understood.
I have understood for a very long time.
It is a word according to Gladys Knight.
Is it? Did she tell us to
Yeah,
understand?
because I misunderstand it. What's too well understood.
Well, yes, misunderstand it is a word.
Understand.
And then she immediately says misunderstood. So, what song is that?
I don't know.
misunderstand.
Yeah, what
It
is
all
that?
depends on the
It's
grammar.
too
All depends on the
well
grammar.
understood.
I'm not going to argue with
Such a sad,
Gladys.
sad season.
Yeah,
When
Gladys.
a good love dies. What is that?
I don't know. If Gladys Knight says it, then it's real.
Oh,
It's all
I've
good.
got to
It's
use
all
my
good.
imagination. That's what that song is.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's preach. Gladys, you told me preach.
We're going on 2 hours here.
How do we do that?
I don't know.
You've got a
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, but
didn't even
we had
have
a
that
break
many
in the
tops
middle
and
of all of
bottoms.
this, so it's
No.
not like.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
For being
The
a
mothers
friend.
of invention. We are only in it for the money. And 1969,
Wow.
which are very close together, actually,
gonna be fun.
chronologically. For next time, once again, we are the Vinyl Community Guncles. I'm Robert Fithen, along with
Richard at Calvin Wazoo.
Craig's Vinyl Plethora.
Mike at Hubtunes.
See you again next time. I know I can't wait.
Oh.
See ya.
Shit.